Here we are, and you're watching us. We are the Vinyl Community Guncles here this time to review the album Mind Games from John Lennon.
73.
We are the Vinyl Community Guncles. We are Richard from Calvin Wazoo. First of all, I'm Robert Fithen with Richard from Calvin Wazoo. Craig from Greg's Vinyl Plethora. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who said this album sucked, Mike from Hub Tunes.
I might have.
And we're going to
Spoiler
start
alert.
with me.
That's why we're starting with Richard.
I thought this album was released in 1973, at least.
It was. It was released in 1973.
Okay. And I guess there was this huge box set released like last year or something.
Oh my God. There's so many mixes of all these. I mean, one album alone has like 4 or 5 mixes. The Ultra mix, the Rocking Chair mix, the Elements mix. So I should have said that at the beginning. We are reviewing the 1973 version.
Yeah. The
John Lennon mix. Because he's the one that I guess produced it or engineered it.
And it's one of, I have a couple John Lennon albums. I've been very happy though with the CD compilation that I have. It's, really good listen. And I have enjoyed that, but it was good to be able to listen to Mind Games from start to finish, because I don't think I actually have listened to the album since its release, when I was at my sister and brother-in-law's house. So we're talking, I was 15 years old, so that was probably the last time I heard it. So it opens up with, to me, just a classic song with Mind Games, the title track. I've always loved this song. I think it's a fantastic song. It's a song that I seriously would put on loop for a couple times because it just really is, to me, that good of a song. So, right out of the gate, the best song is, the first track. Second track, Tight As, or also he says tight as and tight ass, interchanges between the two phrases. It was a cool rockabilly kind of song. I really, really enjoyed it. The lyrics were a bit repetitive. He just kind of kept singing almost the same verse over and over again. But I liked the song. And I also liked the next song, Aisumasen, or something like that. The first time I listened to it, it was just okay. But then repeated listenings, it did get better. And then for me, the first clunker comes, One Day at a Time. To me, it's the melody just annoyed me. It'd be a song, if I had this on CD, I would definitely skip it. The line, "You're the honey and I'm the bee," is, how romantic is that when you're saying that the other person is bee vomit? It just,
it is romantic or secreting.
It's very romantic. I'm grateful.
Fortunately,
that one's going to come out in any of our reviews. Bee vomit.
Fortunately, the next song, I like that one. Although I guess I read a couple reviews where some people thought it was, they thought it was a bit, hackneyed. But Bring On the Lucy, Free the People, it is a bit reductive. It kind of sounds like a little too Bob Dylan-esque in its construction, but I liked it anyway. I really like that song. Intuition, blah, just terrible song to me. Out the Blue, that was a good song for me. And then the rest of the tracks, Only People, I Know, You Are Here, Meets the, I'm skipping over the utopian or Newtopian, international anthem, as that's just kind of a joke that was, I believe, just kind of thrown in, 5 seconds of silence. But yeah, the last 4 songs to me were just, yeah, okay. I wouldn't necessarily skip them, but yeah, they're just kind of okay. I would pick up this album, provided that I found a copy that was like definitely at least less than $10 and probably closer to around $5. I don't know if that's possible, because if it does command a premium price, I wouldn't pay it. But I give it 3.5 rainbows.
I don't think it commands too much of a price. It's like an $8 or $10 album, but
Yeah,
you can find anything you never know at a yard sale, or well, yard sales are over now, but an estate sale.
Yeah,
I just saw it for $8. I almost got it, but
yeah, I'd pay that for it. But
yeah, you can find it.
So yeah, 3.5 rainbows.
3.5 rainbows from Richard. So as with most, solo records from the Beatles, I'm only familiar with Double Fantasy, which is not really a full John Lennon album, but it does have Kiss 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 Me Love, the best Yoko Ono song in the world. So, but as with the Beatles, their solo catalog, all of them, even though John is my favorite Beatle, I'm not really familiar with their solo stuff. It's always kind of just been about the Beatles to me. So first time hearing this, came out in a great year. This is his 4th album. And so did people not like this? Was this a panned album, or is it just Mike that doesn't like it?
It's not received as it's mixed reviews.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The ones I saw said it was a pleasant return to form in some respects with some of the songs, less political.
And I think return to form is referencing sometime in New York City as being way out and not liked at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I saw it for $8. I almost bought it. Then I'm like, nah, I got something else instead. I don't remember what I got instead, but apparently I wanted that more. That I can't even remember what it was. Anyways, yeah, so Mind Games. I don't know that I had ever heard one song off of this album. So even though I guess Mind Games is popular.
No, it's a single, but it's not
a single. Okay.
Yeah.
I liked Tight As. I think it's kind of groovy. The I'm Sorry one, I liked that. I liked the Bring on the Lucy, the Frida People. Tight As was the one that I liked probably the most. Other than the Nuto Plant International Anthem. I think that's my favorite.
That's Mike's favorite.
3 seconds of glorious silence. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a ton to say about it. I would probably get this. I really like You Are Here, which is the second to last, because it kind of had this island vibe to it that I was just kind of digging. I had to listen to it I don't have a lot of notes because I had to listen to it in my car. But I did listen to it 3.5 times. And I'm going to give it 3.5 rainbows for my 3.5 times listening to it. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, I would probably get it. I want to listen to it a little more and really be able to focus on the lyrics and stuff like that. Like, it was unfortunately a car listen, which it's hard to focus.
That's when I
focus for albums you've never heard before.
True. Yeah.
You need to sit in your space and have it going. And
I do some of my best listening in the car, actually. That's probably not a good thing. But I could see with an album that you haven't heard before. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I did say this album sucks in a previous video. John Lennon's my favorite Beatle. I just adore John Lennon. I've heard this album hundreds of times. It's yeah, it probably is a return form after New York, or the New York City album, whatever that is. But compared to the first two records, I mean, Imagine and Plastic Ono Band are two of my all-time favorite records. They're both in probably my top 15 of all time. I like the rawness of those albums. I like the almost sloppiness. I like the band better. Yeah, I think this is produced poorly. So if John did produce this, I think the mix is terrible. It's muddy. It doesn't sound good. It does have one of my favorite John Lennon songs, "Out of the Blue." I really love that song. And the title track, "Mind Games," is great. You know, it's a great song. God, I mean, it's very middle of the road for me, this album. It always has been. It's one I never put on. Out of all his records, I'll listen to I love Walls and Bridges. I know we were talking earlier. I love Walls and Bridges. I think that's great. I think the production is better. I also don't like his. I don't care for this slick studio band that he put together for this. I know these are some of the greatest musicians, to play on records. These are professional studio musicians. That's what I like about the first two records so much. Is it's Ringo. I mean, Ringo's a professional musician, but it's Ringo and it's Klaus Vormann, and it's just people he's known for decades and decades. And now this comes along and it feels very, I don't know. It just has a vibe to it that I just don't care for. I will say that, and I'm not a big fan of I'm not a fan of these remixes. Do I buy them? Yeah, sometimes, mostly for the outtakes and stuff. I don't really care for the remixes. This remix is great. So if you do want to listen to it, I think if you're going to buy any Beatles remix or any Lennon solo, buy the remix of this album. It sounds much better.
Isn't there like 40 different remixes of it though? So which one?
Just get the regular remix. I got it. It's right. It's got one disc.
The Ultamix is the
one that just came out.
Yeah,
it just came out. Yeah, and it's like $40 for the outtakes and the remix, and it is one of the best remixes of all these Beatles, bullshit remixes and stuff. This one actually works. So anyway, we're not reviewing that. We're reviewing the original. I'll just, because where it falls in his catalog for me, I mean, I'm going to give it 3 rainbows. It doesn't suck. And it does have Out of the Blue, which I love.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to redeem yourself.
Yeah, I'm not going to take it.
Yes.
I redeemed myself on Genesis.
That's what I said. He said it didn't suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't suck. It doesn't suck. But it's not great. There's 4 more John Lennon albums I'll put on before that.
So this is like the second solo John Lennon album that I ever heard. And I still, at this point, had probably only heard 2 Paul McCartney albums, one George Harrison, and 1 Ringo album. And I heard Ringo's best. The best Ringo album was the first one I heard. And that was probably the first solo Beatles album I ever heard, was the Ringo album. But I think I heard the Plastic Ono Band after that, and then George Harrison's Living in the Material World. And I can't remember if I heard Paul McCartney's McCartney or Mind Games first. But they were right around the same time. And both of them on cassette.
Oh, I got it.
And bought those new. The other ones I heard because they just happened to be at yard sales. And so this is one I actually picked out. The store did not have Imagine. I remember that. And so I got this on a cassette and just listened to it all the time. And then found out about it years later. I didn't read any reviews of it or anything like that, but I do know some of the, the history of this album just from knowing about it from years ago. Yoko's getting fed up. She's about to leave. And he's writing an album pleading with her, basically trying to get her to stay, before she heads off and then passes him off to, what's the woman's name that was like the
May Pang.
Yeah. Pang, gonna pass her off. And then this is before, I think this is right before that happens, and he goes on his lost weekend or whatever. But and then I found this album, the record, and it's in mint condition, but it is a reissue. So I never got the Apple version of this. This is the 1979 reissue with the UPC on the back, and I don't think this had an inner sleeve. I mean, it didn't come with one; just came with a white inner sleeve. So I think the original has an has the inner sleeve with the lyrics and everything, and who's playing on it. So I never really did know who plays on this, because the cassette sure as hell isn't going to tell you anything. And this just really just has, this little album, this little song listing here. So I didn't really know a lot about who played on it or whatever. But as a 12-year-old, or 11-year-old, or however old when I was, I kind of appreciate it now for different reasons. But a lot of these songs do sound, like if I had a child and I was going to play a John Lennon album for them, it would probably be this one. So these songs sound so innocent and sweet and whatever. And you realize that he's trying to win back Yoko with these songs. And a lot of them are about her. I mean, literally saying, "I'm sorry" in Japanese. Yeah. I mean, and then saying, Suma-san, Yoko-san, everything has her name in it. I mean, he's literally singing to her. Out the Blue is, that's about, that's about her. I know is one of my favorites on here. I love the guitar in that song. I love the way that the music of that and the way the words fit with it. The "No More Crying" part, where he keeps saying, the song ends and then he starts it up again and they go, "No more crying. Ooh, no more crying. Ooh." And when back in the days of CDRs, I had my John Lennon CD that I made. And I made this ridiculously long version of that song where it does that like 10 times. And I would play that and people would be in my car, go, what is this song? And I would just laugh. I had this absurd version of that I made. But anyway, I agree with Craig that "You Are Here" does sound very tropical, and with you can just see the waves, and it's from Liverpool to Tokyo, worlds apart, but you are with me wherever. And the "You Are Here," I think, references the first thing he ever saw of Yoko Ono's, where you walk up the ladder and look at the magnifying glass and you see that it says "You Are Here" on the ceiling or something like that. But tight ass or tight as, it's tight A, and then dollar sign. So it's both, but that's just a nice little Tex-Mex rock and roll song, and it's just hilarious to hear him say. It reminds me of "Crippled Inside," the second song on Imagine. You get this Mind Games, or on that album Imagine, and then you just go into this fun little "One thing you can't hide is when you're crippled inside, you can wear a mask and paint your face." It's the same thing as that to me, the tight ass song. But yeah, tight ass. It's, I mean, what the hell? All asses are pretty tight for at least the first few minutes. But so the "One Day at a Time," I was talking about childlike songs. I mean, that is definitely, "I'm the fish and you're the sea, and I'm the honey and you're the bee, and I'm the apple and you're the tree." And it's every morning, ooh, I wake when you smile. Ooh. It's this like sweet song. It's insanely sweet, especially with John Lennon singing it. What's the song on here? It's "I Know," where he's like, "I'm sorry that I never could speak my mind." And it's just ridiculous because John Lennon's singing that. And so the whole thing to me is like, this is just this plea to Yoko Ono, please don't leave with all these sugary sweet songs. That's why I really wanted to be, I was really interested to hear what Craig had to say about this, because there's so many love songs on here.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing. He's not singing to like some just rant, whatever, just singing I mean, who he's singing to. And the whole story. He's desperately trying to get her to stay with these sugary sweet songs, and it's John Lennon. And then you realize the title of the album is Mind Games. It's like he's emotionally manipulating her with these very innocent, sweet songs. And I think that's just once you start to know some things like that, the album kind of takes on an identity. Each side ends with a completely out of character song that go with the rest of the album. The Free the People, Bring on the Lucy is like a throwback to his Imagine stuff where he's out on the street and, you know, protesting and whatever. And then Meat City is the same thing. So you get a little respite from the sugary sweet love songs and the you know, the soft rock with those two side enders. But Meat City's great. It just chaos and just the insane rhythm that keeps changing, and then the backwards stuff out of nowhere. And Fuck a Pig when you play it backwards is what that. So now you know.
Oh. Everybody,
unless you have the 45 version, when you play that backwards, it says check the album. Fun fact. I think it's a B-side to something. It's probably the B-side to Mind Games. But yeah, the two I like One Day at a Time. Richard said that was a clunker. The two for me are Intuition. That's a step too far in the we're all happy and optimistic and whatever and silly. That's going too far. Into takes me anywhere. Takes me anywhere.
It's like a bubblegum pop song.
It's too much. And then Only People, again, talking about how if I had a child, that sounds like a song written for a children's show. Only people realize the power of people. Well, 1,000,000 heads are better than one, so come on. It's way over the top.
And Zuma, Zuma, Zoom, Zoom, Zoom.
Right. Yeah.
Or Baby Shark. Baby Shark, Shark, Shark.
So I cannot give this like 5 stars for certain mainly because of those two songs. I do think the Newtopian International Anthem is funny because, you know, I guess it's basically saying there's no Newtopia, so there's no international anthem for him, so it's just silence. But so I don't know, 4.5 is probably pushing it. I'll give it, but you know, my own nostalgia, my own, you know, Craig is allowed to do that and give things more stars than they deserve because
they all deserve the rainbows I give them
because of the experience that he had with them. So I'm going to do that now and give this 4.5 rainbows, but it probably really is more of a 4 rainbow album.
Okay, so that's what, 14.5?
Don't you think he's written better love songs to Yoko though?
I think that
like a lot better.
No. I mean, what, Woman?
Well, I kind of heard him singing.
Very similar to what's on here.
He was kind of rehashing that sentiment to me that.
Oh, yeah, Yoko,
I know
my love will turn you on.
Well, he's
Yoko.
like,
me too. But is it better than these? Richard was talking. Mike interrupted.
Rude.
I just thought he was rehashing this notion that, like, that was even on Sgt. Pepper's that. You know, yeah, he's been a bad guy. He knows he's been a bad guy. He knows he's got these emotional problems and dealing with people. And it kind of keeps coming up. And, you know, I could see where Yoko's probably saying, enough of it already. You know, if you know that you're fucked up, then fix it.
Yeah.
But he just keeps indulging himself and saying, but, you know, he leans too much into the mommy issues.
Yeah. There's a line in that Aisuma-san song where he says, when I hurt you and make you cry, I'm sorry. You know, when I hurt you and make you Aisuma-san. Well, then don't do it. Mm-hmm. It's like, you can only say it says when I. So it's like, that gives me the idea that he just keeps doing it.
Yeah.
You know, not it happened last night or I'm sorry for the things I said last week or what. It's like when I've done it before several times. I'm going to keep doing it. Oh, but by the way, when I do it, I'm sorry.
Rude.
So yeah, but I just love the And the other line, and I know, besides I'm sorry, yes I am, but I never could speak my mind, which is absurd for John Lennon to sing that. But also, I'm sorry, I never could read. I'm sorry, but I never could read your mind. It's about the most passive aggressive.
It really is.
He's still the best Beatle, though, in spite of his flaws.
All three of you said that, and I don't have a favorite Beatle. That's why I love the Beatles.
Mm.
It's because they're so. That's the sum of the parts is more than, or the Beatles are more than the sum of the parts. I don't have a favorite Beatle.
Oh.
But yeah, man, that Only People song, it's always been annoying to me. Only People. I can just see people marching down a road, like on a PBS show or something like
it.
And then like the guy comes down off the doorstep in the big, in New York or whatever, they're all like a Dr. Pepper commercial.
Or I'd like to buy the world a Coke.
Yeah.
Imperfect.
And teach it to sing in perfect harmony.
Mm-hmm.
At least this album, unlike the previous one, doesn't have a song that we can't even say the title to.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Oh,
Don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't say it.
Oh,
Let Craig find out on his own. Don't
Yeah.
say it.
I
Get
think I
Guncles
know.
shut down.
Yeah, I think I know.
And that song has a very prominent saxophone in it.
It does.
Oh, that's always nice.
So Craig, you're next, right?
Well, it's complete. We're gonna listen to Janet Jackson's Velvet Rope. So there's a little different.
Does that have what's that song where she samples "Someday We'll Be Together"? That's Terry's favorite Janet Jackson song.
That's on Janet.
Oh, okay.
That's If I Was Your Girlfriend.
Yeah,
To you. Yeah, I almost did that album, but
I've never heard this album.
This is
that's probably the only Janet Jackson of her popular period that I haven't heard. I've heard Janet. I've heard.
Wow,
Definitely heard Control several times. I've heard Rhythm Nation a few times actually. I've heard Janet twice, but I don't think I've ever heard that one all the way through.
Oh no, this
I've never heard it.
I go back and forth between this and Janet being my favorite. She's angry. There's some really because of some abuse and stuff that had gone on prior, and so she's all over the place in this with where her emotions are and stuff, and I think that's what I like about it. I think it's at moments one of her darkest records.
There's the hidden track on it.
It's the
it won't be hidden when you're streaming it. It'll pop right up and say what it is.
She did that all the time though, because Janet had.
Yeah, it's a song called "Can't Be Stopped."
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's. I'm sure.
All right, so we will review the Velvet Rope from Janet Jackson. What is that? 1997.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will review that. Also coming up, we'll give you our tops and bottoms for the year
1965, I believe.
1965. I don't have that written down. And maybe we'll play another game, have a discussion about something, do all kinds of fun things. You'll just have to tune in and find out.
You'll have to wait.
Or don't tune in, click on and find out. We are the Vinyl Community Guncles. Once again, I'm Robert Fitton along with
Richard at Calvin Wazoo.
Craig's Vinyl Plethora.
Mike at Huptunes.
Hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Yeah.